What's up, brothers and sisters? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. Holy moly, we had a volatile weekend in the stock market. Let's dig into what's happening with the QQQ and the S&P 500 and the IWM, and then dig into my day trading watch list, as there is a lot to uncover. We had a shellacking in quite a few different industries, and we also had a little bit of steam or bubble pop in some of the more speculative names like your nuclear stocks and some of your crypto names. And so we've got a lot to uncover. We need to figure out, how deep is this pullback going to be in the S&P 500? Is this something that's just kind of an orderly 5-day pullback, or is it something that's got a deeper structural pattern? And I think that's, where we need to do a little bit of a deep dive. So one of the things that we can notice here is that the QQQ had a really orderly kind of 4-day pullback right into the 9 EMA. That really should get bought up there. When you have such a breakout as we had post-election, that first pullback tends to get bought, and it didn't. And so that is something, to be a little bit mindful of. The other thing is that we were down about 2.5% on Friday. And so we did have an increase in magnitude of the pullback too. We were just kind of dropping 0.2%, 0.3%, which is really, really bullish. And then all of the sudden, right, we have this 2.5% down day. And so we do got to kind of take that into account and see what the heck is going on. If you look at the SPY, very, very similar action, right? You had this just kind of big, orderly pullback for a second, and then it started to speed up. And so we do need to, give that some thought here. Now, look, and the main thing is that we're just kind of retesting the old breakout spots, right? And so we had this breakout from the election, and now we're coming back and retesting this area, and we're coming back into the 20 SMA, and that's usually a good spot for a potential bounce to form. So if we are going to bounce, and we probably should, then I think tomorrow is going to be probably a good spot. If we have a weak open in the markets tomorrow, meaning the market opens red, I think that should probably trigger some longs. It'll get us kind of closer to that 50-day moving average, and we would start to trigger some oversold readings. And then we'll have to see if, we start to bounce back up. The other thing that I think was weighing on the markets was that, the Trumpster had been weighing some different types of appointments for Treasury Secretary. There was a guy named Besant, who's more of your traditional Treasury Secretary. He's like a corporate guy. And then you had another guy, Ludnick, who's also a corporate guy, but he was more in line with what some of the things that Trump was doing on the tariffs and things like that. And I think that also spooked the market, as was when the betting market started to switch in the other way. The market started to get shellacked pretty much immediately. So that may have been in the cards too. And so that, once that kind of overhang is also removed, we should start to kind of repop back up. And so some things to definitely keep an eye on. The one worry, of course, is that rates are still coming down. Powell took a big shit on the markets. I believe he had a talk on Wednesday, and he basically said, hey, we may pause, on the interest rate easing as we're starting to get into some good spots. And we've been really, the bond market has been telling us something for a long time. And it was surprising that while the bond market was doing that, the IWM had broken out. But now, you could kind of see the after effects. And so tomorrow is a huge moment for the IWM, all right? Huge moment for the IWM, because this dreaded breakout here that people have been waiting for all year is finally, it finally came to fruition, but now it's really fluttered out, right? And so if the market on the IWM side is going to, have this kind of confirmed breakout of these old highs here, we need to hold here tomorrow, and we need to come into this, 20 SMA, and this is also the breakout spot, and so there should be a lot of support there, right? We've got an oversold reading of 5 stochastics. We've got 4, not just down days, but pretty significant down days, and really let some of the steam off in the market, pull back in a nice percentage manner. Tomorrow's the day. If this holds and bounces, and we can kind of rip this thing back up and kind of retest this area again, I think that's really, really bullish. And if it busts through, because this rates thing is not going away, that takes a lot of the fun out of the market, because when the IWM is in breakout mode, you see a lot more kind of, a little bit more speculation and things. And we're still seeing it, but it's nice when it's going, because it's just a full blown, right, bonanza of stuff. We call that, the line drawers market, where you can just draw squiggly lines on charts and everything works. And so we got to definitely come into the works on something like that. So we've got a lot to uncover. Theoretically, we should bounce tomorrow if we have a weak open. If we kind of gap up in the middle of the range, I think anything could happen. We could still bounce into a gap and grind, or we could fade back. We'll have to be prepared for longs or shorts. But if we gap down tomorrow, then I've got one thing on my mind, and that's to long this thing, and to take some of these hot stocks that have pulled back to good support and try to long them with maybe some stops at the low of day, and they could probably even turn into swings. And I think it'd be a good low risk spot. Let's take a look at the general watch list for tomorrow. And there's a couple kind of things I think we should also, take a look, because there's some decent, I would say, news pieces that we want to be, aware of. Number one is, we do got a spot. We do got a spot here in old NVIDIA here. We do got some news in NVIDIA here. NVIDIA customers worry about a snag with AI. That's going to be a little bit interesting. I think, something that we'll have to just be really mindful of as this for tomorrow, because that's not a good thing to, see. And, there has been a little bit of an overhang in NVIDIA that we should be kind of mindful of. And then, you know what? I've been wondering for a long time what the old Trumpster was promising. Elon, and you can see here, I think this news might be something for tomorrow. Team Trump is seeking to ease the U.S. rules for self-driving cars. This is, this could be something too, right? This could be something too. And so, because they were kind of saying they're against all this stuff, and now we'll see what the quid pro quo was on all of that, right? All of that support, right? The couple $100 million, the friendship, the bro hugs, the gang bangs, and all the other things that come in with a nice donor. This will be in play tomorrow. So I think both of these got a good shot. Both of these we want to, be a part of. So let's dig into the watch list here. I think we got some good stuff here. So I think off the bat, we want to probably narrow down the list a little bit. I think the good part about a pullback is that your lists get a lot shorter, right? And when you get a nasty McGee, all of a sudden, your endless box of stocks is over, right? And so we've got ourselves some good stuff here that I think is gonna bounce if we can just hold at these levels. And so let's start digging into this here. We've got a couple things here. So this BE had a huge move, 50%. This is, $3 billion company, so it's right in the sweet spot. And we cleared out a whole host of levels here yesterday. I think for some day trades tomorrow, if this takes out that 22, I think we're in, the right spot. I had 65 million shares in volume on Friday. It's a good day trader, I think, for a potential tomorrow. So let's add this to the watch list. You can't get any better than that. You got big volume. It's only 165 million share float, so you got a good sweet spot on this. PLTR's been in play. PLTR's been in play nonstop. Man, yesterday felt like, holy crap, how did we miss the boat on this thing, right? It was like, this thing was $6-7. Look, if this thing starts to speed up this week, we get a big gap up on tomorrow, or it has a big day tomorrow and then the next day it gaps up. I'm looking for an exhaustion move on this. I think this is actually setting up for a short now. It's a $132 billion market cap. I think they barely make any money. Not that that really matters, but the main thing is, look, this was from their earnings, and you're already up 75% in a handful of days. For a 2 billion share float, that's a pretty big move. I'm not saying it's there yet, but I think if you gap up big tomorrow, or you have a big speed up tomorrow, and this gets to 75 to 80, you've got yourself a really nice short for a day trade or a couple days. I think would be in the cards. We could take some puts on this or something along that end and have ourselves a little pizza party. Coinzilla, this one surprised me yesterday. It felt like we were going to get maybe a deeper pullback, but it filled this gap here. And it grinded along in the morning. There was definitely some relative strength, and that's always a good telltale sign. But then, end of the day, this is what really kind of, it's like, holy shit. This thing popped 10 points into the close, and it was just so clean, right? Like you never see coin ever make clean moves. I think this is in play. I think we got to add this in for, tomorrow. Let's see if this thing kind of comes in and, breaks out this, tests into this 330. It may need to pop in here and pull back and kind of do something like that to just, tighten this thing up a little bit. But weak open on this one, I'm definitely interested in it. Affirm relative strength on this too. Dude, you had a weak open. It goes red to green, and then it's gangbusters. And if you look here, we've got ourselves a really key breakout. Its earnings are out of the way, right? So it had earnings. It had a pop on it. You've consolidated now over that 9 EMA, just building up steam. When stocks test into that 9 EMA for the first time, you've got yourself really a good location. This 58 will be important. I think this is a level for us tomorrow that we have to be aware of. So let's keep an eye on this one. Like I said, Tesla's going to be in play, with this autonomous driving stuff from the government. That could be a nice catalyst to get this thing going. You went from 360 down to almost 300. That you've tested into the 9 EMA. I was thinking we'd need a little bit of a deeper pull, but you never know, right? Heat is heat, and you're sitting there and you're setting up. Let's look in Buenos. App here, there's a level here around 300. We actually took it for a day trade. We took it for a day trade, I believe, on Thursday. And, it peaked its head. I had it like 297. Pikered it out for a couple points. I got stopped out flat, but it's still tightening up here. May need another day or two to back and fill, but there's a level here that's building out. I think we got to respect it. UPST, let me get rid of all these lines here, but hold on. You got big push on earnings. Now you get an orderly pullback, 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Just nice green candle in the 9 EMA. Once again, relative strength. Market's down 2.5%. This thing is holding up 1.5%. Maybe not as Butamus Maximus Murilius as Affirm, but it is a Buenos, man. It's got a little something for the ladies. All right, 12 to 18. Woo. Now look at this course. This is a Bitcoin stock. You got 4-day pullback back into the bone zone. You got a big, beautiful breakout on this one. I think that one's ready to party for tomorrow too. Bitcoin's still hanging out at 89, 90,000. The push, right? The push to 100 continues. SQ, breakout in the works here. 90's a spot, right? You tested it, but it was too extended going into it. So now you're starting to pull back into the 9 EMA. This next test, if it can just kind of pop and then go like that and tighten it up, now we're good to go, right? So let's keep an eye on this bad boy. I think that's got a good look to it too. Might even be a swing trade. I'm watching this lift here at 19. Not the sexiest trader. Its ATRs maybe a little bit more compressed than I like. One of the reasons I kind of like sometimes these stocks are like $40, $50 and higher is that it's easier to see the intraday patterns when you're trading them because you have a little bit more ATR and, maybe not in percentage terms, but just right in absolute terms, your ATRs are bigger. So you can see the patterns. One of the things with kind of these stocks are like $5, $10, $12 is that, the ranges are compressed in terms of dollars. And so, everything kind of looks like nothing. Sometimes it's like you get a spike and then you get a pop down and it's all for 20 cents here, 20 cents there. That's going to be a little something to keep mind of. Now, Hood. After this beautiful breakout here, you got a nice flag pattern that's developing here. 34 is the breakout. But, you can kind of see it grinding down into this too. And you're just right? Pet the snake. You got that snake that's showing up there. Pet the snake. Now, what? My wife, she knows about pet the snake. How you think we got here? Just kidding, baby. Now, boom. So you got pet the snake. Man, that's looking nice right there, right? So you got... Zoop. Now we're into it. Looking good, looking good. Lumens, look. This is a beautiful breakout here. These guys do space robots, which is pretty sick too, right? I mean, it's robots in space. Like, it's just, I mean, what could be better? It's like, I wonder, it's like, you gotta wonder too, the little robots, big robots, like, you know, do they have their own personalities? Is it like more like Transformer style? Are they cute ones? Like, I'd prefer them to be like cute little robots, right? That make little kind of noises. That'd be how I picture it, but you never know with these industrialists. So you got this pop here to 1050. You start to pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. Woo! You know. Pet the snake. Pet the snake. You got it. Shoo. Now look, MU, this is down 7 days in a row. It's a big turn, but I think for a day tomorrow, if we get a gap down on this, you know, you're at the lower Bollinger Band, you're at 4 stochastics. Let me just repeat that, 4 stochastics, right? That's pretty oversold. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days down. Dude, that's a buenos, right? I think that one and AVGO are both kind of like at the lower Bollinger Bands. And this NVIDIA news maybe like kind of shakes out the market a little bit. And so if they gap down, that really stretches the rubber band and sets up for a nice bounce just for a day trade or maybe 2 days. You know, a rubber band long is like, it's a rare occurrence. But if you look here, right, like, you know, the last time it broke out of the upper Bollinger Band, you had a nice pop. You broke down the lower Bollinger Band here, pretty nice pop. You don't get them very often, right? But when you get the candle completely outside the lower Bollinger Band, it really can set up for a nice move. So I like both of those. I like both of those for a potential rubber band long. And then we got Docs here. I think this is, you know, one of these kind of earnings plays. You know, big push here to 62. Pull back about $12 into the bone zone. You know, I think this one, too, if you can kind of touch into the bottom of the 20 SMA here or close to it, I mean, it might set up for a nice swing trade, but definitely for a day trade, too. These earnings beats, like, you know, that first dip, they typically get bought up if they're orderly and on lower volume, and they can really set up for, like, a nice kind of low-risk entry, you know, so I won't day trade this one. I'd be looking at this one for a swing trade. If I can get the signal, like a green candle to hold there, I think we'll do it. Guys, a lot of volatility last week. You know, we don't know for sure if the market's going to bounce. You know, this is right theoretical. So we got to manage our risk. We got to do all of that fun stuff, manage our risk. But the gap down kind of puts it in play because we get closer to, you know, the 50 SMA. SPY, you know, we're right at a sweet spot too. Let's see, flat open, gap down, you know, even small gap up, everything is in play. We'll have to read and react. It's not the time to be a hero though. So like just because the market's down a few days, don't go in and just be like, oh man, like, you know, I got to go in and just like, boom, right? You know, balls to the wall with this, your full account and get smoked out. Because then what happens is you do that and you chop yourself up and then the market starts to rip and you've, you know, kind of hit your max loss or you've used up all your mental capital. And so we got to be a little bit mindful of that. So a little bit longer than usual. I love you guys. Peace in the Middle East. Let's go do what we do, which is the do.